I don't think there's a best way. I don't think there's a good way to guard Luka Dončić in a pick and roll.
Breaking news on SportsCenter this morning, the Lakers and Mavericks making it a blockbuster night. Luka Dončić headed to the Lakers, Anthony Davis headed to the Mavericks in a seismic trade that shakes up the reigning Western Conference champion Mavs and gives LeBron James in Los Angeles a 25-year-old superstar who's been All-NBA first team for 5 straight years.
When I first read it, I didn't like it. I was like, why would they trade Luka Dončić, perennial superstar, all-star every year, for an agent, Anthony Davis, who we know has injury problems. He's been healthy the last couple of years, but for the most part, he's been injury-plagued his whole career.
So I load again. Next thing you know, it was 15 straight posts. Was all Luka in the Laker jersey, AD, and I was like...
It's crazy to think that a top 5 player in the NBA can get traded in his prime years. I'm pretty sure many of us thought Luka would be just like Dirk, meaning that he'd be a Maverick for life and go with a statue in front of the American Airlines Arena. But boy, were we wrong. That tweet late Saturday by Shams had everyone in disbelief. Even Shams himself had to assure us that he wasn't hacked. To think that Mark Cuban himself said that he would divorce his wife before he'd ever trade Luka. I mean, seriously, the man would let go of his spouse. The only real logic behind this was to think that the Mavs GM was deliberately trying to sabotage the team. I mean, he did mess up probably one of the most lucrative deals that Nike could have had long term, and it's with a guy you may know.
Nike reportedly blew it with Steph Curry. ESPN.com's Ethan Sherwood-Strauss wrote a detailed account of what went wrong between Curry and Nike and why the superstar point guard instead signed on with Under Armour. Strauss wrote, quote, the pitch meeting, according to Steph's father, Dell, who was present, kicked off with one Nike official accidentally addressing Stephen as Stephon. Yikes. And it apparently only got worse. Strauss detailed how one of the presentation slides still had Kevin Durant's name on it, probably from a previous presentation meant for the OKC star. While Nike's loss was Under Armour's gain, CBS Sports recently reported Curry is worth over $14 billion to the company, making this a rare airball by Nike.
Yes, that is Steph Curry. And yes, Nico Harrison was the man responsible for messing up the presentation that ultimately led Steph Curry to sign with Under Armour. But enough about that. We're here to talk about probably one of the weirdest trades in NBA history. I mean, it was so crazy that you had players tweeting in the middle of the night and fans protesting.
He's supposed to have a statue! Dirk got a statue right there, it's supposed to be Luka right there!
Some of the reports that came out say that the Mavs were fed up with Luka's work ethic and his overall fitness. So much so that an injury that was reported this season on Luka turned out to be a false alarm, and it was just a decoy to force Luka to lose weight. Apparently Luka got up to as much as 270 pounds, but I don't see it. Do you guys see it? I mean, the Pelicans have dealt with Zion for years, dealing with his weight issues, and you're telling me that a top 5 player in the league can't get some slack? Sorry, Zion. I didn't mean to send a stray your way, but the logic behind this trade is just very puzzling. So what did the Mavs get for a top 5 player in the league? Let's take a look. So Luka was traded for AD, Max Christie, and a 2029 first-round pick? Very, very interesting. I'm pretty sure if Luka was shopped around, the Mavs could have gotten a lot more. Also, no disrespect to AD, because he is a 10-time All-Star, NBA champion, NCAA champion, Olympic champion, and still a very dominant force in the league. But let's face it, he's also an aging superstar who's very injury prone, and from time to time, maybe known not to show up in big games. This also leads me to think that the Mavs may know a lot more about these reoccurring Luka calf injuries than they're letting us know on the surface. The only trade that I can think of that may have come close to this one was the Pau Gasol trade. And even then, Pau Gasol was coming out of his prime. But you know what team Pau was traded to? You guessed it, the Los Angeles Lakers. It seems like the Lakers just have a knack for getting big stars. I don't know, probably something in the water. Can LeBron and Luka coexist? They seemingly have similar playing styles and both are very, very ball dominant. How will AD fit alongside Kyrie? And can they find that chemistry sooner rather than later? Because according to most reports, this trade puts the Mavs in a win-now situation. I wonder how Kyrie feels about all of this.
Trying to figure out how I'm going to deal with all this, and put my best foot forward as one of the leaders of the team. You know, so this is a weird case in NBA history to be a part of, but at the same time, it's the nature of our business, and it is a ruthless business. So you just got to be ready to pick up the pieces and you know, still run towards the championship. That's the ultimate goal on why I play, and having other guys that are championship winners too helps. But you know, at the same time, we still have to acknowledge that, you know, our little Slovenian president is no longer here, and we got to adjust.
But we all are still shocked, Kyrie. And this makes me wonder if the Lakers traded for a win now, or was this just a play for the future? Let's face it, LeBron will probably play another 2 or 3 years max, and the Lakers' current roster, even with Luka and especially with no real defensive presence, I don't think can beat a team like OKC, Denver, or even Minnesota right now. So that would mean that they're either going to add more pieces ASAP around Luka and LeBron, or they're just going to wait it out until LeBron retires and use that additional cap space to lure in some other superstars. I guess only time will tell. Another theory that is being thrown around is that the Mavs did not want to commit to paying Luka the 5-year, $345 million contract extension that Luka is eligible for. I find it crazy that a top 5 player in the league who is usually better in the playoffs just led his team to the NBA Finals for the 3rd time in franchise history, is must-see TV, and more importantly, he's box office. If he doesn't deserve an extension, then who does? Ultimately, the Mavs' current lineup with AD looks really good on paper. But again, for the Lakers, we're not sure where this is headed. But to have Luka in the purple and gold for possibly the next 10 years is a good problem to have. But it still leaves this question in the air. What were the Mavs thinking?